Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population and with little or no meaningful engagement leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.
In a nation where political and economic turbulence often dominates public discourse, strong statements from influential figures tend to spark widespread debate. One such statement recently came from Apostle Johnson Suleiman, a prominent Nigerian pastor and founder of Omega Fire Ministries, who labeled the current administration as the worst in the history of this nation. His remarks have ignited reactions across various sectors, prompting discussion about governance, leadership, and the state of national affairs. As Nigeria grapples with pressing issues such as inflation, insecurity, unemployment, and depreciation of our currency, Suleiman's assertion forces a critical evaluation. Is this truly the worst administration Nigeria has ever had? Or he's just exaggerating? It's another episode on your favorite Primetime show, the final episode for the week. My name remains Suleiman Saleh, and today we're examining Apostle Suleiman's statement, calling the administration the worst in the nation's history. And we're asking, do you agree with him? Now, remember, Ways is all about you. You are the wine Ways, so be a part of the conversation every single day and add your voice to the discussion. You can also head onto our YouTube channel. It's at Official Upgrade TV. Hit the subscribe button, like, share, and invite your families and your friends to join the conversation right now. When I open the phone lines, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic. But first, as always, let me allow you ponder on my quote for the day. It says, "We are made for this period, never to flinch, never to falter. The socio-economic challenges of today should energize and rekindle our love and faith in the promise of Nigeria." And this was said by our very own president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So we'll delve into the conversation much later, but first let me run off on a break. And when I come back, I'll let you in on my news interests for the day. Stay with me. Okay, so this first story, I don't understand. But why? President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, why? He has approved the renaming of the University of Maiduguri, Borno State, as the Muhammadu Buhari University. How does this even make sense? So may we now adopt the University of Maiduguri as Muhammadu Buhari University, Tinubu said at the close of a special session of the Federal Executive Council held to honor Buhari at Aso Rock Villa in Abuja. The president paid a glowing tribute to Buhari, describing him as a good man, a decent man, an honorable man, whose legacy of discipline, patriotism, and moral uprightness would endure for generations. Tinubu said, although the late president was not without flaws, his unwavering commitment to national service set him apart, and the president expressed admiration for Buhari's post-office modesty, noting that he returned to his hometown in Daura without seeking to wield influence behind the scenes. Tinubu thanked the Inter-Ministerial Committee and Katsina State Governor Diko Rada for organizing a befitting burial. Okay, so I don't know about naming our public institutions, academic institutions after people. It doesn't just make any sense. Like, these institutions have been in existence for a while, and all of a sudden I wake up. It's just like when they wanted to name Unilag Moshood Abiola University. Honestly, it doesn't make sense. I don't know. I think we can find better ways to honor the people that we want to honor, as opposed just waking up and changing university names. Like, these things are on certificates, they're on different places and all of that. I don't know how the people in Maiduguri feel right now, and the students currently going to the University of Maiduguri. I don't know how they feel right now, but I would just feel very, very, I will not feel it won't go well with me. I'm sorry. I don't know how these people do all of these things, and they just wake up and think, okay, university. You should have just built something, maybe like a lab or something. Built something inside the university, and then name that thing after, not the entire university. It doesn't make any sense. But obviously these things are not for people like me, because it means a lot to a lot of people. But I can never understand why. It doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, and I don't think this is a good move. I don't think so. All right, so I'll move on to my next story. The Director General of the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Person, that's NAPTIP, Binta Bello, has warned parents nationwide against leaving their children in the care of casual friends, untrusted neighbor, and unreliable service provider amidst growing child trafficking concerns. In a communique, she warned that such situation make children vulnerable to trafficking and theft. Bello's remark came during the reunification of 5-year-old Rahama Ibrahim, who, with her parents in the Maturu, Yobe State, after she was abducted in the Maturu a few months ago by a suspect involved in child theft. It is very dangerous to keep your children in the care of strangers who come your way casually. Parents should also desist from sending their children on errand unaccompanied or on a lonely road in odd hours. On our part, we shall continue to ensure the protection of Nigerian children, and we thank all our partners who have continued to support our work. I think this is a good, what would I call it? Is a good way to sensitize people, and I like what she said. But I just wanted to say that sometimes it is not even casual friends or maybe people that are just like passerbys or neighbors that actually perpetuate this evil. What about the people, the children that have been trafficked by their own parents, like biological parents? What would you say about that? I think it's just for us to be intentional about child safety in this country. It's for us to be intentional about all of us being our brothers' keepers, and our sisters' keeper, like everybody, all hands on deck, ensuring that if you see something suspicious, you kind of just report it, because it's not all the time that it's a stranger that traffics these children or sell them out. Sometimes it's actually their biological guardian, biological parents, and all of that do that. So yeah, I get your warning. It's very important, even with your before you hire people, nannies, and all of that. It will always be nice. Now I'm hearing, thank God it was a lot easier when I was running my own, raising my babies, but I hear that you need to go and also try to do police checks, just do a criminal check to be sure that, the people you're hiring have not had any criminal case or any case, in the past, just to have a clean record before you bring them into your home, because you never can tell who are the people that are coming into your home. So on my final story today, Lagos State government has warned residents to beware of fraudulent estate agents and swindlers. marketing estate flats to the public for outright sale or rent on social media. The Commissioner for Housing, Moruf Akinderu Fatai, stated this in reaction to one of such unwholesome fraudulent acts as seen on social media advertising the recently commissioned Lagos State government-owned Igondo mixed housing estate for sale to members of the public. The commissioner also reminded the public that the Lagos State government does not engage agents to sell, lease, or rent housing units in government-owned housing estates. Akinderu Fatai also advised prospective home unit buyers and the public to conduct due diligence on any purported housing unit put up for sale by anyone by contacting the Estate Department of the Lagos State Ministry of Housing directly before making any decision to purchase. While the Ministry of Housing and the Lagos State government will not be liable for any loss incurred through patronage of fraudsters or imposters, any individual or organization caught engaging in the criminal act of deception shall be brought to book. I just want to add to our commissioner, our dear commissioner, can we also just start to have technology fight these things where, most of the properties and all of those things, you can just literally go online and search and have like history. A friend of mine that lives in Indonesia, she tells me that every time you want to buy anything or any property, you just need to go online, put the location, put everything. It will show you not only the real-time map, every single detail about that property and how much it is, everything. I don't know how we can do it here. Again, because housing, we have a huge deficit. So most of these housing units are owned by private entities. But I don't know how we can do it. But I just feel like there ought to be a better way for us to be able to curb fraudulent activities that is going on within the real estate sector. I did a video yesterday. And I was talking about how, even the police, right, the Inspector General of Police, it would be nice for you to be intentional about not allowing your men to support, all these fraudulent companies. Most of them, they would rather go through bribing different policemen to harass and intimidate people to get them to keep quiet after collecting their money than for them to just do the right thing, which is give them the property that they paid for. And that's what we see all the time happening. So there's a huge gap within the real estate sector in Nigeria, and I'm really, really hoping that we can get a more feasible solution and a more permanent solution as well that can work, to curb the amount of fraud that is going on within that sector. All right, so let me go on a break. When I come back from that break, let's discuss Apostle Suleiman and his statement about rating this administration as the worst in history. That's rather strong. But do you agree with him? I'll be right back.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
All right, thanks for staying tuned. Now, Apostle Johnson Suleiman described the current administration in Nigeria as the worst in history, in the nation's history. While such a declaration has sparked heated debate across social and political circles, it also invites a closer examination of the country's current realities under the leadership of our President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and how they compare with past administration. So joining me to discuss this is my friend from long ago, Dixon Osaji is here. He's a global security analyst and he's going to touch on, what's it called, what Apostle Johnson Suleiman had said. Dixon, are you there? Such a long time.
I'm here. Oh, how are you?
I'm fine. That's how you abandoned me, Dixon. I'll call you out on national TV. How have you been? How is Madame?
Yeah, everybody's fine.
Awesome. Dixon, so I don't know, did you see that video when Apostle Johnson Suleiman was talking and he was rating this administration the worst in the history of Nigeria? Oh, did we lose Dixon? Dixon, are you there? Okay, go ahead.
I can hear you. You're asking a question.
Yes, I said, did you watch the video? So I wanted to hear your thoughts on it first before we go into the conversation.
Okay, am I live?
Yes, you are live.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. I think I went to the video and I watched the video, I mean to say, and everything he says in regards to this current administration, I tend to agree because he made a very fundamental cost of living, cost of transportation, other aspects is affecting the Nigerian people. So I strongly believe that this administration is one of the worst. It's one of the worst administrations we've ever encountered. For example, if you want to fuel your car, you know what it costs for you to fuel your car, and the cost of commodities, everything is on the high rise. I think Nigerians are living by the grace of God, but I think we should start looking at the welfare of the people, because the primary purpose of governance is the security and welfare of the people. When security is absent, welfare is absent, the economic situation is absent, then crime tends to thrive. And that's why you can see the high rate of criminal activities in the country now, because a hungry man is an angry man. So in totality, the society is angry with this present administration.
Okay, let's take a look at that video, then I'll come back to you, Dixon.
All right.
Is the worst government in the history of Nigeria. This is the worst government in the history of Nigeria. You can't do anything to me. This is the worst. The electricity. Worst. You see, if you feel because you can afford things, you don't care about people who can't afford, then you have a problem. Ghana is supporting a citizen. Ghana. Listen to me. The only instrument we have is prayer. Pray. People are hungry. People are hungry. People are hungry. Sometimes I'm afraid to read my text message. I'm afraid. If I get 1,000 message, 900, not prayer, food. Will somebody lie with hunger? Somebody can't lie with hunger. You can lie with car. You can lie with house. You can't lie with food. We are praying that God will remember us.
Okay, so one of the main sources of public frustration has been the economy, right? And I know that he touched on it, the removal of fuel subsidy and the floating of the naira. those policies that were introduced in the early days of our President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's tenure. They were intended to stabilize the economy in the long run. However, in the short term, they have caused a lot of inflation, to surge, with the prices of essential commodities, just like Dixon just rightly mentioned, and services becoming unaffordable for millions of Nigerians. Many Nigerians now face an increasingly harsh cost of living crisis, with food inflation at record highs, and what's it called, a weakened currency, further eroding purchasing power. And of course, Dixon, when the apostle
I'm there.
was talking, food was the major thing that he said. That a lot of calls, if he gets like 1,000 calls, at least 900 of them would be, or 999 would be hunger. People are hungry. People, do not have food to eat and all of that. And is that a reality, or that is an exaggeration?
No, no, it's not an exaggeration. That is a reality. Because every Saturday he feeds some vulnerable ones and some people in his area there in Auchi. Coincidentally, I'm the security advisor to Apostle Johnson Suleiman globally. When I saw the video today sent to me by your producer, and I went to the video, I put a call to him. I said, "Sir, this is what this was going viral. Is it just a recent video, or it was an old video, being pulled out by one or two, elements?" They said, no, it's a recent video. And they explained to me that things are really tough because initially it cost about 3 million or so to fuel his car. Most of the vehicles they used to park people around Auchi Metropolis to go for Sunday services. And he confirmed to me today that is spending about 12 million naira to fuel those cars, those luxurious boxes and other vehicles monthly. And also the cost of feeding, it says it spends about some few millions, and that money has skyrocketed by 10%, by times 10, multiplied by 10. So I got his pain today, and today I got to understand that the rich also cry. And I believe his point, I believe his position, and he told me that the only way the government will stabilize this thing. This was a conversation we had today when I got this invite, because I need to hear from him before I attend this program, before I attend to your program. So he gave me the analysis and everything, and he was actually correct. It wasn't an exaggeration. If you tune in every Saturday to his program, you discover that he feeds close to about 3,000 to 5,000 people every week. So I think it's telling on him, and that's why he's also crying out to the government. And the government should see this as a feedback. Most times when you cry out to the government, they tend to think maybe you are attacking them or you are attacking the administration. No, I don't want the government to see the cry of Pastor Johnson Suleiman as an attack to the administration. No, we've known him to be an outspoken person during the time of Muhammadu Buhari. He spoke about the Fulani herdsmen killings. He spoke about a lot of things before his life was attempted in sometime 2022. So what we are having presently in this country, what's going on presently in this country, is a reality, and that is the truth. And it's telling on him, it's telling on his ministry, and it's telling on his people. So the government should see this as a feedback and not for them to fight back. When you fight back, each time you get feedback, you are not going to have a solution to your problem. So the government should start looking at the first subsidy removal. And there's not, in fact, I'm not even feeling it. It's not the only one crying. We're all crying. So I'm only giving an analysis. I'm also crying. I don't know if Uwa will come to my rescue. I'm crying as well. Cost me close to about 1.5 million to fuel my cars for my company. So everybody's crying. I don't know whether you guys are crying, but I don't think the ladies in the studio are crying. But me, I'm crying. Apostle Suleiman is crying. Nigerians are crying. So that's the position here.
I like the fact that you actually put a call through to him, to even hear from the horse's mouth. Because critics have argued that although these policies were necessary, right, the government's lack of, would I call it, robust safety net for the poor, has made life unbearable for ordinary citizens. Just to allude to what you're saying, because yes, a lot of people that are his supporters on one hand, they believe that these reforms are bold and they've been long overdue. But you see the short-term pain that it's causing, right? You're now wondering, is it worth, this price that everybody is paying? Because everybody is actually feeling it. And I like the fact that you have even mentioned it, just breaking it down. And you're not alone. Everybody is feeling the pain. Right? It is almost now like it's far in our memory when I used to fill my tank, with 16K, your tank is completely full from zero. But now you're talking 50 something, 60 something thousand. It doesn't make any sense to anybody. You know, it's not like the income actually increased, right? But your expenses, you know, they are all over the roof, right? And sometimes when I hear people make certain kinds of argument, I'll just tell them, calm down. Just take a look at this situation without having any biases. You know, could this have been the best we should have done? Because you see, you know, because you are a security person, how has this impacted in what's it called, in our safety, what's it called, our security infrastructure in Nigeria? How has this hardship, the economic hardship going on and all that, how has it, the ripple effect, how has it affected safety in Nigeria?
A fantastic question. I think it has affected safety in Nigeria negatively, security and safety negatively. And that is why most times you see our security forces tends to compromise. The police some of the police officers tends to compromise, some military officers tend to compromise, some other paramilitary guys tend to compromise so that they'll be able to meet their living costs. They'll be able to meet the cost of living. You know, some of them have wives and children. And I tell you, even the minimum wage they're talking about cannot fuel a machine in a month. So when you see things like this rising, or you see economic situation like this, you know, disturbing the territorial space and the people of Nigeria, then crime would escalate, because an angry man on the street is an angry man. And that is why most times we need to start looking at the methodology in which most of these criminal elements tends to recruit their fighters. And Boko Haram now, they are gaining momentum from the northeast and as well some other part of the country, simply because the hungry Nigerians are now going to the part of terrorism. They are now going into the part of crime. They are not going into the part of kidnapping. Kidnapping has also skyrocketed after the kidnap of Evans. We had some kidnap situations taking place from the east, west, and north. But now the kidnap market has taken a boom. You know, a lot of people are being kidnapped. Nigeria are no longer safe. Then when we talk about kidnapping, there are various forms of kidnapping taking place within the Nigerian space, especially Lagos. The rate of kidnapping in Lagos is on the high rise. Now, let me tell you the type of kidnapping that's taking place in Lagos that the Lagos state governor or the government needs to look at. Express kidnapping, you know, is one of the high spate of kidnapping in Lagos. Express kidnapping in the sense that most Nigerian ladies and guys going to work early in the morning tend to fly public transport like the local vehicle called Danfo, and a lot of them, you know, meet their water low. Some of them are being, accosted, taken to ATM to go and fetch money. Some of them will be kidnapped within some few minutes, some few hours, until they transfer their money with ATM card. That's what we classify as express kidnapping, which the government is not even looking into, because what we are looking at as a nation is the high network kidnapping, like that of Evans, where you kidnap most of these billionaires and you request for 100 million. But the ones that affect the poor, the express kidnapping that affects the poor, we're not looking at that. So now, going by your question, we need to start looking at Nigeria as a country. If you want to react, or if you want to act, ensure that you have methodology in place, you know, to subsidize your actions. Now you are taking away subsidy. What are the methodology in place by the government? What are the reforms in place to subsidize the pains of Nigeria, to subsidize, you know, most of all these commodities and all these, goods and services? So it is disturbing. It is really disturbing. As I speak to you, I'm a Ladipo. I came to fix my car. What I used to buy, one of the items we usually buy for 15,000, they are telling me 130,000 naira. And I just shouted, "Ha, Tinubu!" You know, each time we keep on shouting Tinubu, he needs to go back to the drawing board, get feedback from Nigerians, and ensure that he put things, in the right perspective. Because if this goes on, I tell you, the criminal rate or the crime rate is going to escalate. And if the crime rate escalates, you and I will live in a state of fear. And if you and I live in a state of fear, then Nigeria is suffering from societal threats.
So Dixon, you know, just hearing you speak, apart from what is even going on, I've been seeing a lot of videos of recent on Instagram where people are also shouting about the high rate of one chance in Abuja as well. A lot of people are now becoming victims of one chance. But let me ask a question, Dixon, because when Apostle Suleiman said that this administration is the worst in the nation's history, have we not said the same thing about previous administration? Meaning that for every time, so does it mean that we keep progressing into deeper, deeper incompetence when it comes to governance in Nigeria? Because I am very sure in during Buhari's tenure, we were shouting that this administration is the worst in the history. During Jonathan's era, we were shouting the same thing. You know, so it's something that it has become like almost a reoccurring terminology that we say with every administration. So, and it doesn't look like we're flipping that. It's almost like with every administration, we are going deeper and deeper into incompetence, into, you know, what's it called? What's it called? Progression that now eventually leads us to start to call it the worst administration ever, because this is something that we've always said with every administration. So what makes this particular one different?
Fantastic question, Uwa. And that is why, as a country, we need to understand that whatever we believe in or whatever we do tends to, you know, get back to us. During the time of Goodluck Jonathan, I think a dollar was about 120 or 140 naira or so, or lesser. But the people of this country believe that the administration was one of the worst administrations in the history of Nigeria, and Goodluck Jonathan was chased out from power. Then Buhari came on board, say Baba, you know, invaded this country with change mantra. And the change mantra really was a change mantra because things turned for bad. You know, we didn't get the desired result we wanted from Buhari. And Buhari regime was also termed as one of the worst regime in the history of Nigeria. And we are taught that President Bola Tinubu, who was once the governor of Lagos State, who in his own capacity has done his best to, you know, do one or two good things for Lagos during this time, people believe he's going to do better, you know, and he merely left. We started missing Buhari. In fact, I've seen some people crying that, oh, Buhari, come back, Buhari, come back. And now the Buhari himself is dead, so I don't know who's going to come back. So for me, I think, like you rightly said, we are progressing into, you know, progressing into a deeper trouble, deeper problem. And I tell you, the problem we have in Nigeria is policies. Policies is one of the major problems we're having. If we have an effective policy in place, I tell you, we're going to get things right. We have countries in the world. I just got back from Cape Town for a visitation. And I went through Cape Town and I said, God, this development in this town was made by human beings, not animals. Why is it difficult for us as a country to have our leaders, you know, develop our country, this great country, Nigeria, blessed with natural resources? But it comes to a conclusion that the problem we're having in Nigeria is greed for power, nepotism, tribalism, you know, and also, you know, corruption. If we have a stiffer punishment in place, like what the EFCC is doing, which I'm not even impressed as of today, we have stiffer punishment for those that embezzle our natural resources, embezzle our money, our funds, our finances, and bring them to book and ensure that money meant to develop this country are positioned for development. Money meant to build our roads are positioned to build our roads. Money meant for, other development aspects are meant to do that. Then I tell you, things will get better. But no, when we get people in power, and we are also, faulting the administration. We have our governors as well. What are the governors doing? What are the senators doing? What are our leaders doing? They are all doing nothing. I was in Addis Ababa en route from Cape Town, and at the airport, I could visibly count over 100 flights, Ethiopian Airlines. And I asked my wife, I say, why is it that Nigeria, we don't even have one flight, Nigerian Airways? The last time we saw a flight at the airport was a hired flight painted to come and deceive our people. So Nigerians have been taken for granted for a long time. That is my own conclusion. That's the conclusive part of my response to your question. We've been taken for granted, and I think we need to start, facing the government head on. Apostle Suleiman has taken the lead. You and I and every other Nigerians needs to also come out and speak out, like you guys have been doing from time to time. Nigeria needs to be rebate.
Okay. Great. So let's go on a very short break, right? When we come back from that break, we'll continue the conversation. Stay with us. All right, thanks for staying tuned. If you just tuned in, we're having a conversation on Apostle Johnson Suleiman's statement calling this current administration the worst in the nation's history. And we're asking, do you agree with him? Now, remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. You can also call our phone lines. The numbers to call 07025007749 or 07014242420. You can also leave us a message on our YouTube link. We would read your messages. So thank you so much for being part of the conversation. I really love to hear your thoughts. Do you agree with Apostle Johnson Suleiman? So, and I still have with me my friend Dixon. Dixon has joined me via over the internet here. So I wanted to ask this Dixon. So the apostle mentioned something around supporting citizens, right? And how you touched on how Ghana is supporting the citizens, right? And it seemed like you can see that there's visible help where it comes to, citizen engagement. And this is something that we have argued so many times in different quarters. First, somebody like a Dele Farotimi will tell me, well, you're not a citizen, right? So don't even call yourself one, because if you were a citizen, there'll be certain basic rights that you would have as a citizen. I know that in some other countries, right, when you are going through economic challenges like this and it's tough for everyone, the government sets aside some kind of, relief funds. That is, you will see it visibly going into your account. So maybe, I mean, when the 2020 pandemic happened, I know how the people that I know that lived abroad that could not go to work because of the pandemic were receiving credit alert on a monthly basis, at least for basic amenities, for food and all of that. But you see, in Nigeria here, you get all these conversations around, I'm trying to remember the name of the funds that they say that they are giving to the underserved people, to give to the less privileged and all of that. But it really never gets to the people that need it. It really never gets to to make real impact. And I'm wondering why this is so, right? And I'm just asking, is there a possibility, right, for us to be able to truly change things in this country, the rate at which we have so gone deep, neck deep into, this corruption and uncertainties that is happening within our country?
Fantastic questions. And each time I travel out of this country, I tend to look at development of other countries. This question comes into my heart, and I usually ask my friends and say, will Nigeria ever get better? And that is the question, will Nigeria ever get better? And sometimes we'll ask ourselves, I ask myself, or I ask my colleagues out there, I say, come, who sweat for this country in a PG parlance? Who sweat for us? What is the problem? You see, I think the truth is, leadership problem is our major problem in this country. We have leadership problem. You see, everything's boiled down to leadership. And when we lead by example, we lead by, truthfully, we lead by, putting things in place and ensuring that we set, effective policies in place. You see, it's one thing about having policies in place, and it's another thing, monitoring those policies and evaluating those policies. Because you can't just have a static policies and you think that policy suffices. No, policies are like life. It's like a life, They are life documents that governs the people. Now, look at you and I. We're talking about what Apostle Suleiman has said. The government should start looking at, the basic needs of the people. And I tell you for free that we have a social contract with the government of the day. And if the government does not respect the social contract between the citizens and the government, crime tends to strike. And that's why I kept hammering about the increase in crime rate in Nigeria, because the government has abused consistently from time immemorial the social contract between the state and the people. So the issue now at hand is that Nigeria will get better. It is in the area of prayers. I think we've prayed enough. Now the issue is that a lot of countries in the world that are not Christian-centric or Muslim countries, that don't even believe in God, they are well developed. They don't develop through prayers. They develop through policies and procedures. They develop through punishment, crime and punishment. If you don't punish people who commit crime, crime tends to flourish. Some countries in the world, like some part of China, if you steal or if you embezzle public funds, you'll be beheaded. They'll cut off your head. So if we have an effective punishment measures in place for government officials who divert our funds meant to develop the country, funds meant to develop the society, funds meant to keep the country running, and they diverted it to their own selves, to their family, friends, and relations, and we have such people well punished. crime will be reduced. But if we don't have them well punished, crime will not reduce. And that is why you see that the Nigerian political system is a shaft. And it's a shame, a disgrace for me. That's my own personal perspective, because in 2023, for example, when APC were elected into the government, we saw a lot of people decamping from PDP. Some of them were even evading prosecution. And we've seen it as a style whereby by next year now, for example, let's assume that a new political party wins the 2027 election, you will see people from APC and PDP migrating to that party simply because they want to evade punishment. They want to evade, prosecution from the DSS or from the EFCC. So it's becoming a style until we have a government that will say, hey, enough is enough. No matter the political party you belong to, if you commit a crime, you'll be punished. You'll be used as a deterrence measure, because deterrence is very important. Specific deterrence and general deterrence. If our country upholds punishment measures and ensure our policies are rolling effectively, the spread of insecurity will be mitigated, the crime rate will be mitigated, and our economy will flourish.
Interesting. Dixon, Apostle Joseph Suleiman said that it is only prayer that they have. So when you said it's not prayer we need, he said it's only prayer he has. But I mean,
yes,
I know
yeah, correct. He's speaking from his own
from his own constituency. But I was just going to say that, speaking about his constituency, Dixon, you and I know that one of the strongest arms of influence in Nigeria is the church, right? Exactly. Because you see, and you see, what can you say what you feel about what he has done by calling out this government, and how other churches should also get involved? Because the more we are silent about it, we are accepting that it is okay for people to live in poverty and for people to continuously go to bed hungry every night. That is even if they have a bed to lay on, right? So how do we start to get the church, involved in changing the narrative in Nigeria? Because the amount of hunger is too much. Dixon, it is bad. Because very soon people will start robbing people, doing all sorts of things just to be able to feed. And it does not make any sense.
So that's already happening. Yeah, I agree. The church has played their part, and our religious leaders have also played their own part as well. Like he rightly said, we need prayer. But when I had a discussion with him today for about 15 minutes, when I got this invite, he told me in a session of the church or in a session of the prayers, government needs to start putting things in place. They need to start, supporting the people, the policies. They need to start, ensuring that they take poverty out from the street. The rate of poverty in Nigeria is on the high rise. I'm telling you, a lot of people cannot eat, a lot of people cannot feed. Now, if the church keep on praying, and our policies are not effective, then our church will pray till eternity. Because most of these government leaders we have are from the church. Most of these political leaders we have are from the mosque. They are from the church. So that tells you that a lot of them, they are not even listening to their pastor. They are not even, listening to the message of honesty, the message of integrity, the message of leadership, true leadership. So I think it's greed that has eaten up so badly as a country. Our leaders have been embezzling wealth, and so I think someone lied to them in their dream that they will live till eternity. None of them will live till eternity, inclusive of you and I and your colleagues in the studio, because we just laid our former president to rest, and may so rest in peace, General Muhammadu Buhari. He's gone. So that tells you that our present presidents, our future leaders, our present leaders, they will also pass on one day to a good old age. I wish every one of us a good old age. We live, see 90, see 100. But if we all have it in the back of our mind that this world is just a passing place, we're just passers by, I think people will start, doing the right thing as political leaders. But yeah, you see people amassing wealth over 100 billion, 200 billion, 500 billion, one person. Are you crazy? What do you want to do with those funds? Why not put it to development? So you will remember for good till eternity. You will go to some museum, you see some people that have done great things for their country since the 16th, 14th century. In Cape Town, I saw some persons, 14th century, that have done something good for that state. They are still being remembered for the good they did. So the question is, as political leaders, as a president, as a governor, as a senator, what will you be remembered for? For wickedness, for putting your people in a state of pain, put your people in a state of, in an impoverished state, what would they be remembered for? That's the only thing we should start asking them. Because for me, I think this is wickedness, leadership wickedness, and leadership brutality that is facing this country.
So do you agree that this is the worst administration in the history of our leadership in Nigeria? Do you agree with what the apostle said?
Yes, I agree with Apostle Johnson Suleiman 100%. Going by the cost of living, the cost of transportation, the cost of getting fuel. They said it's fuel subsidy. They're going to take it off. They've taken it off. I was even happy. I was thinking that once they take off this fuel subsidy, maybe every month somebody will be boxing my account with like 2 million naira from the federal government wallet. The natural resources we have in this country, can pay individuals in this country, how many million of us? If you want to pay each person in this country, our natural resources can foot that bill monthly. But what are we doing with the money? Nothing. No good roads, no electricity today. We are still gambling with electricity. We don't even have our national carrier. We don't have national airways. Nothing is working. But our people keep on saying that things are working, things are good. But the truth is there. So I agree with him based on the cost of living, cost of transportation, foods, and a lot of things. Before now, we were flying to Abuja, 35,000, 45,000. During the time of Buhari, I think I usually go to Abuja for 55,000. Immediately Buhari disappeared from Aso Rock and Tinubu appeared in Aso Rock, I was flying to Abuja 120,000, sometimes 150. If I want to fly to Abuja tomorrow, I think if I don't have about 300,000 or 250, I will not be able to fly. So we have to buy or book our ticket ahead. So it's telling on everybody, and I think it's a shame. It's a shame. So I think, I strongly believe, and I'm assuring you, let me now assure you, this administration is one of the worst as of today. So 2027, let's see if another administration.
But Dixon, I wanted to ask a question. Was it not a good move that the subsidy was taken out and these policies and all of that the president has done? And shouldn't we have all expected that things will get worse only to get better? Because we need to be able to understand that the impact of that would be things getting worse to get better. So is it that you are saying that you're not seeing any end in sight, for this worst period, like things now getting better? Sometimes you have to move backward to be able to move forward,
But I don't think we're going to move forward because if we're going to move forward, it shouldn't take us more than 6 months or 9 months. But I think this administration was in a hurry to just, verbally announce and implement immediately that subsidy has been taken up without putting in modalities in place. They never forecasted, the causative factors or the negative side of subsidy removal. If you had forecasted that, then you should know that, okay, let's produce about 200 luxurious boxes for each state to each transportation. Okay, let's import like 100,000 bags to each state, to ease the cost of feeding. They didn't put most of these economic reforms in order. They just went ahead and take out subsidy without plan. So for me, I think if you want to carry out or take any action, you should check the adverse effect of that action, the positive aspect and the negative aspect before you take that action. So I think this administration didn't put that into calculation. They just say, hey, subsidy is gone and it's gone. But now it's telling on the people, and our people are saying, okay, bring back subsidy, please, bring back subsidy. Let's just live as it is, like as we were before. Let's, keep on enjoying our life pre-2023. So for me, if you ask me to vote for subsidy removal, or we should live our life pre-2023, I would say, let's live pre-2023 and see what goes on. But I think subsidy removal has not really impacted the development of this country. That's my own perspective.
Interesting. So Dixon, if you had something that you wanted to say to the government, right, and they are listening and, what would it be? And, just before you answer that, do you think the government truly cares about his people? You know why I asked this question? Because, protests over the years, we've seen how they've played out, where people came out to cry to say this is what is worrying us. In fact, one of the most ineffective protests, in my own opinion, was the one that they just had, the End Hunger protest, right? It didn't even seem that the government even cared about even hearing anything, not to talk of. Prior to that time, there were previous threats and all of that. And it didn't seem like they were even interested in listening to anything. And it seemed like that was one of the very, very non-effective protests that we've had in a while. So do you think this government truly cares about us as Nigerians? Do you see any of these things at all, being that, okay, I care, I feel your pain, and I'm doing this to make us better? Do you see that at all?
I'm not saying that, Uwa, and I think they don't care. From their own perspective, they might think to care, but from their actions and inactions, they don't care. Because sometimes when you care about somebody, your actions or inactions, advantageously or inadvertently, could mean that you don't care or you care. So for me, like you rightly talk about the protest, you see, one thing the government fails to understand that whenever people comes out to protest, they don't usually see that as a feedback. That is a very beautiful, positive feedback. We must start seeing protests as a feedback. Most countries in the world that advance, they advance through protest, not violent protest, through peaceful protest. When people comes together and gather to protest against our administration, get a popcorn, call your cabinet together, sit down, say, let's listen to what you're saying. Then get the feedback from the people and then implement what they want you to implement. If it's for the betterment of the country, implement it. But here, when we carry out protests, you will see our government officials, planning with street urchins, planning with area boys to go and destabilize the protest. Then, before you know it, they will now call for a curfew, that the protest has been hijacked by hoodlums. Why was it hijacked by hoodlums? It's already a failure on your part that you were unable to protect the protesters. Because if you effectively protect the protesters, that hijack will never take place. So they usually forget this fact that each time people comes on board to protest, they are crying out to you, and you must let them cry. Because if you beat up a child and you close up the child's mouth not to cry, the child might not be able to cry when you close his mouth, but maybe you take off your hands from his mouth, it will burst out. It will burst out crying. So for me, I think government should allow the people to cry. You've beaten us so hard. Allow us to cry. Let us cry our own cry. Maybe in a stylish way or in a painful way. When you beat up the child, allow the child to cry and get healed. But yet they will beat us up. They won't allow us to cry. They will seal our mouth, which is not good for governmental purposes. So for me, every protest, I'm not in support of that violent protest that is being called by Shore. Revolution now. I think he doesn't understand revolution. If he understands the term revolution, he will not call for revolution, because if revolution has to take place in this country, him, himself, and his family cannot withstand it. Nobody can withstand revolution. So we'll call for peaceful protest. And the essence of calling for peaceful protest is to inform the government that this is what we want. And the government must listen and stop using the military and the police to disperse these people violently. Because the last protest I saw in Abuja, the head hunger protest, I discovered that the Nigerian police forces were, dispersing these protesters with tear gas. That is the use of force. And when you use force, or when you apply the use of force in dispersing protesters, you are creating more injury. You are leaving a lasting negative mark about your administration and about leadership. So allow people to protest and tell them, okay, I will resolve what you are asking for, then the country will move forward. But if you don't allow them to protest and will keep on shutting their mouth, Nigeria is never going to develop. Development comes with, feedback from the people and honest feedback from the people.
Thank you so much, Dixon. I mean, you've really touched on it very intelligently. And that is the honest truth. And I really want to just emphasize on what you said. Every time there is a protest or every time there's an outcry, I think the government should be intentional about listening to the people, as opposed to thinking that somebody is trying to, take them out of their office, or trying to overthrow them or something, because they just always meet it with so much negativity, and I seem to not understand why. But if you had one final thing to say, Dixon, on this topic, right, about this administration being the worst in the history of our nation, what would you say about the topic, and just a way to tie up your thoughts for the evening?
Well, for me, I will let them know that none of them will live till eternity. All the money they are embezzling, all the finances, the buildings, they are building, the factories, the estates, they are using the Nigerian funds to build and allow us to suffer. They won't live till eternity. Every one of us will die one day. So for me, they should understand that leadership must be intentional, and they must be intentional about leadership and ensure they lead us right. There was a song by one Nigerian artist that said very clearly that if you're a governor, lead us right. If you're a president, lead us right. If you're a police us are right. If you're a military officer, lead us very well. Lead the Nigerian people rightly. If you don't lead us rightly, I tell you, you'll be remembered for evil. You'll be remembered for wickedness and history. will not take good on you and your generation to come. So for me, I will end this conversation by telling our leaders that they will die one day. So don't think you will live till eternity. Every one of us will pass on one day.
Absolutely, and that is a statement of fact. Thank you so much, Dixon. Always a pleasure having you on the show. All right,
Thank
guys,
you,
right?
Princess Ola.
Apostle Johnson Suleiman's declaration that the current administration is the worst in the nation's history is a powerful reflection of the growing frustration amongst many Nigerians, not just him. While some may see it as an exaggerated or premature statement, it cannot be dismissed outrightly, especially when viewed against the backdrop of soaring inflation, economic hardship, insecurity, and widespread public discontent. His statement highlights the widening gap between government promises and everyday realities that is faced by citizens. He sees them every single day. I mean, you heard Dixon feeding 3,000 people every day. That's not a joke. So whether one agrees with his assessment or not, it sparks an important conversation. What kind of leadership does Nigeria truly need, and how can ordinary people continue to bear the weight of poor governance? How long can we do that? In the end, Apostle Suleiman's comment is less about politics and more about accountability. It's a reminder that leaders, whether political or religious leaders, have a role to play in demanding better governance for the people in our nation. I mean, it's just as simple as that. And I would love for more leaders, just like Apostle Johnson Suleiman has done, more leaders to keep on speaking out. We don't have a choice. We don't have another nation. We don't have another country. This is all we've got. And we have to make things right. We have to get things better. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching, for joining us this week. Next week is going to be another beautiful week. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channels. Catch all our shows, right? You can just go buy a bowl of popcorn and just binge watch everything on our YouTube channel and give us a like. Don't just watch, like and comment and also share. It's important that you please support our community, as we need your support to be able to grow. Thank you so much again. If you missed our quote from our dear president, it says, "We are made for this period, never to flinch, never to falter. The socio-economic challenges of today should energize and rekindle our love and faith in the promise of Nigeria." I want to add, Mr. President, your actions would also tell us if truly, right, you are ready to rekindle and to energize our love, and our faith, for the promise of Nigeria. Your actions, and it matters. We'll see you guys next week. Enjoy the rest of your evening and your weekend.
Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population, and with little or no meaningful engagement, lives a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.